welcome back to another message crawler update. Today I want to tell you what's new in Teams import in message crawler version 5. Let's go to my screen and we're going to talk about some of the new options that I've created. All right, we're going to go to import and we're going to go to Teams. And the first thing you'll notice is a message saying new PST since version 5 something something. So one thing you had to do if you were using Teams in the previous version is register some of the custom DLLs, and you had to make sure you have 64-bit version of Outlook. It was a major pain. I'm sorry to put you through it. It was too complicated. In this version, I have purchased a different set of APIs. APIs is like components that used to connect and access content of a PST file. So none of the things you had to do before no longer required. All you have to do is install software and use it. There is a DLL there that handles everything. You don't need to have Outlook installed. You don't need to configure anything. It's just gonna connect and grab all the data that it needs. I am putting a message here. So this is new since this version, because if you were to process same data, old version and the new version, things may look a little bit different. From what I've checked, everything seemed the same, but because they're different algorithms and different tools that are used to extract the data, there may be a difference in hashes or something like that. So that warning message is there for that reason. So that's like the most major update I've made, is replacing those APIs. Now I want to go through a couple of options that exist here. I've talked about some of them before, but if you haven't seen previous videos, so you're wondering what the different options are, this is the time when I'll go over them. So let's start. Path information. This is where we're going to select what data we're going to import. Now we don't want to put name of a PST here or MSG. This is where we specify folder name, and message crawler is going to scan that folder and all the subfolders for PSTs and MSGs. And this folder, we're just going to specify where we're going to store attachments. Part of the ingestion process is to download attachments from the internet, which we're going to talk about, and this is where they're going to be stored. Now the next thing here is a path to Sharepoint files. So one thing Teams doesn't do is it doesn't store certain attachments inside the messages. So there are multiple ways it can do it. It can store, some pictures could be stored inside, some pictures could be linked online with just open link that anyone can follow, and some files are linked to Sharepoint that you need password to access. Whenever you perform collection, you can choose an option to export those Sharepoint files as well. And what message crawler is going to do is it will connect them to the appropriate message. And this is the folder where you specify where those files exist. And what message crawler does is it'll use file name plus 2 previous subfolders to create a match. So as it's scanning through messages, it sees, all right, here is a message, here is attachment. Ooh, it's a weird attachment. What is it? It's a link to Sharepoint. Nothing I can do with it. So it tries to take the path of that link and match it to the path that exists in this folder. And if it finds a match, it substitutes one to another, and now it's going to pull in this native file from a folder. Really cool. However, if you happen to mess with this folder structure for whatever reason, then it's obviously not going to link. So good idea to check it and make sure things were linked properly by looking in the grid and make sure paths are good. Okay, so moving on to import options. So we have save images or linked images from message body. If there is a picture that's either linked to like a Giphy or something like that, message crawler will go online and will grab it. If there is a picture embedded, it will save it. Of course, going online requires internet connection. These haven't been very helpful pictures that I've seen. They're usually like reactions. Somebody posts like a smiley face or something like that. So if you don't have internet access, like I know some people don't, you can skip them and you could be okay without them, in my opinion. But if there's something more important, again, that will not be saved. Next, we have save linked files as URL attachments, link files from Sharepoint. So this talks about this guy. If it's unable to link to a folder, it will create a .url file, which you can copy and paste into a browser. And if you have credentials, you'll be able to access that data. Skip non-text message items. So this is all the text messages have Skype thread ID, which indicates that this is part of a conversation, part of a thread, and this is how message caller groups them together. However, during export, you can include lots of other stuff, like your messages or other things that just get dumped in the PST. I don't even know what options people use to export them, but there could be emails and other things in there. And so what this option says, if you find any other junk, just skip it, ignore it. Only look for things that have thread ID. Those are our text messages. Those are the ones we want. And if you do try to load emails, you're gonna have problem creating RSMF files because they have huge bodies and things like that. There's tons of text in it. You can try loading it into grid looking at it, but otherwise I recommend skipping it. And the final option we have is skip duplicates. Export includes usually multiple custodians. Teams exports usually include multiple custodians, and each custodian goes into a separate folder. And so each custodian is a complete set of a conversation. So same message could appear in multiple custodians folders. And therefore we have this option called skip duplicates. What the tool is going to do, it'll create a hash value based on from to timestamp and the body of a message. And if it finds a second occurrence of the message, it's just going to ignore it. If you're doing conversion per custodian, then you can uncheck that option, and you can include duplicates. That would be totally fine. You just have to be careful that you sort by custodian first, because if you sort everything chronologically, then you're just going to have same message multiple times, and it's going to look terrible. And of course, below we have our control number that you can assign, and then you can hit the button to start import. And then everything else from here is the same. You just load data to grid and you can perform the export. All right, so that's all I got for Teams. Those are the new things, and kind of going over some of the settings we had before. That's kind of how it works. I unfortunately don't have any sample data I can use this on. But yeah, hopefully this tool is going to work faster and better than the previous one. Well, at least you're not going to have to download all the DLLs and register and all that stuff. So that's it for this update. Thank you for watching. See you next time.